Not coming back, are you?
We gotta change the course of...
What if everything you believed about the ending is completely wrong? What if the battle we've been building toward isn't the real danger at all, and the biggest twist is something no one is ready for? Because Episode 9 of Outlander Season 8 isn't just intense, it changes everything. The story no longer feels like it's building toward a simple ending. It feels like it's closing and tightening from every direction. And at the center of it all stands Jaime Fraser, a man who has survived war, time, loss, and fate itself, but now faces a moment where none of those things may be enough. Episode 9 begins with tension already at its peak. The preparations for the Battle of King's Mountain are no longer just background noise. They feel immediate, urgent. Every conversation carries weight. Every silence feels heavier than before. You can sense that something irreversible is about to happen. Jaime is pulled in two directions, and neither choice comes without consequences. On one side, there's duty, the war, the men who rely on him, the land he has fought so hard to protect. On the other side, there's something far more personal. Lord John Grey. The kidnapping of Lord John isn't just a plot point. It hits deeper than that. This is someone who has stood by Jaime in ways few others have. Loyalty like that doesn't come often in this world, and losing him now, it's not something Jaime can ignore. But here's the problem, choosing to save him could cost everything else. And this is where the emotional weight of the episode really starts to build. William enters this situation, carrying his own storm of emotions. His anger hasn't fully disappeared, it's just quieter now, more controlled, but still there. The difference is, for the first time, you can feel a shift. He's starting to see things differently. Not completely, but enough to hesitate. That hesitation matters. Because when the truth about Lord John's situation becomes clear, William is forced into a position he's never been in before. This is no longer about pride or resentment. This is about choosing who he wants to be. And more importantly, who he stands with. Jaime doesn't ask him directly. He doesn't need to. The situation speaks for itself. And that's what makes this part of the story so powerful. There are no long speeches. No dramatic declarations. Just quiet understanding and a decision that could change everything between them. At the same time, Claire senses something is wrong in a way only she can. It's not just fear of the battle. It's something deeper, almost like history itself is shifting. The kind of feeling she's had before, when time doesn't follow the rules it's supposed to. This connects to something the episode subtly builds on, the idea that events we thought were fixed might not be. The moment with Mr. Whittaker earlier in the story wasn't random. It planted a question. If something once thought impossible has already happened, then what else can change? And that question hangs over everything. Because if fate can be altered, then Jaime's future isn't certain anymore. But uncertainty doesn't bring comfort. It brings risk. As the episode moves forward, we begin to see the first real signs of a rescue taking shape. It's not rushed. It's not reckless. It's careful, calculated, and quietly desperate. Jaime knows time is limited. Every second matters. But rushing in blindly could mean losing more than just Lord John. And yet, waiting isn't an option either. This is where Episode 9 starts to feel different from anything before it. It's not just about what will happen, it's about what could happen. Every possibility feels real, and none of them feel safe. Meanwhile, small details begin to hint at something bigger coming. Conversations that seem simple at first carry hidden meaning. Looks between characters say more than words. It feels like the story is preparing for something far beyond just a battle. Something final. And just when it seems like the focus is entirely on the rescue and the war, another layer quietly enters the story.
Time.
Not as a concept, but as a force. Because the clues are there. The gemstone. The strange sense of things not aligning. The feeling that different timelines might be closer than they appear. And if that's true, then Episode 9 isn't just leading to a battle. It's leading to a collision. One where past, present, and future may not stay separate anymore. And if that happens, then the ending we expect might not be the one we get. As the episode moves forward, the tension doesn't release, it sharpens. The plan to rescue Lord John Grey begins to take form, but nothing about it feels certain. Every step forward carries risk, and there's a quiet understanding between the characters that this mission could easily turn into something much worse. Jaime leads with experience, but even he knows the situation is different. This isn't just about strategy or survival. This is personal. And when things become personal in a world like this, mistakes happen. William stays close, but his presence adds another layer of complexity. He's no longer just reacting. He's observing, thinking, measuring every decision Jaime makes. You can feel the shift in him growing stronger. There's still conflict inside him, but now it's mixed with something new: respect. Not fully accepted, not openly spoken, but it's there. And that changes the dynamic between them in a subtle but powerful way. For the first time, they're not standing on opposite sides of a truth. They're standing in the same moment, facing the same danger. Meanwhile, Lord John Grey's situation becomes even more intense. His capture isn't just about being held prisoner. It's psychological. There's betrayal behind it, and that betrayal cuts deeper than any physical threat. The man he trusted turned against him, and that kind of wound doesn't fade quickly. But Lord John isn't weak. Even in captivity, there's a sense of control in him. He observes, waits, and understands more than his captors might expect. And that quiet strength becomes important because it suggests something crucial. He's not just waiting to be saved. He's waiting for the right moment. Back with Claire, the unease she felt earlier begins to grow stronger. It's no longer just intuition. It's almost like a warning. The world around her feels slightly off, like something invisible is shifting just beneath the surface. And then the idea of time travel returns to the center of the story. Not loudly, not dramatically, but through small, meaningful details. The gemstone that Fanny discovered becomes impossible to ignore. The buzzing, the reaction, all signs point to one thing. She isn't just connected to this world. She's connected to something beyond it. Claire understands what that means immediately, and that realization brings both hope and fear. Because time travel in Outlander has never been simple. It doesn't follow clear rules. It doesn't guarantee safety. And most importantly, it doesn't always take you where you want to go. Fanny's situation introduces a new kind of uncertainty. She's inexperienced, emotional, and driven by something very powerful: the desire to see her mother again. That kind of motivation can push someone to take risks they don't fully understand. Claire knows this. And that's why she's faced with another difficult choice. Does she guide Fanny, or does she try to stop her? Because helping her means opening a door that can't easily be closed. But stopping her might not even be possible. At the same time, another theory begins to take shape, one that connects everything in a way that feels almost too perfect to ignore. The possibility that different timelines are starting to overlap. This is where the mention of Outlander, blood of my blood, becomes more than just a connection. It starts to feel like part of the same story. Not separate, not distant, but linked in a way that could change how everything fits together. If characters from different timelines begin to cross paths, then the story isn't just moving forward anymore. It's expanding. And that changes the stakes completely. Because now, the outcome of this episode doesn't just affect one group of characters. It could affect multiple timelines at once. As the rescue mission gets closer to execution, the pacing tightens. There's less room for hesitation. Decisions are made faster, and the consequences feel heavier. Jaime knows this could be the last chance to save Lord John. But what he doesn't know is how much this decision will cost him. Because all signs begin pointing towards something unavoidable. The battle. No matter what happens with the rescue, the Battle of King's Mountain is coming. And history tells us it won't be easy. But here's where the tension reaches another level. What if history doesn't play out the way it's supposed to? That question lingers as the episode builds toward its most critical moments. Because we've already seen signs that the timeline isn't as fixed as it once seemed. And if that's true, then Jaime's fate isn't sealed. But neither is his survival guaranteed. This creates a feeling that's hard to ignore. A sense that the story is preparing to take a risk. A big one. Because bringing Jaime to the edge of death isn't new. But what happens next could be. By the time episode 9 reaches its final stretch, everything starts to feel like it's moving toward a breaking point. The rescue, the war, the strange pull of time itself, all of it begins to collide in a way that feels unavoidable. The rescue mission doesn't unfold cleanly. It can't. There are too many unknowns, too many variables that no one can fully control. And that's exactly what makes it so tense. Every step forward feels like it could be the one that changes everything, for better or for worse. Jaime and William move together now with a kind of unspoken understanding. The distance that once defined them is fading, replaced by something stronger. Not perfect, not fully healed, but real. In moments of danger, truth becomes clear, and here the truth is simple: they trust each other. That trust becomes critical, because when they finally reach Lord John Grey, the situation is worse than expected. This isn't just about getting him out. It's about surviving what comes next. The threat surrounding him feels bigger, more organized, almost like this was never just a random act of betrayal. It feels planned. And that realization changes everything. Because if this was planned, then it means someone wanted Jaime distracted, pulled away from the larger conflict. Someone wanted his attention divided right before the battle. And that leads to a dangerous possibility. The rescue itself might be part of a bigger trap. Still, turning back isn't an option. Not now. Not after everything. Lord John, despite everything he's been through, doesn't collapse into weakness. There's resilience in him, the same quiet strength that has always defined his character. And when he sees Jaime and William, there's a moment, brief but powerful, where everything unspoken passes between them. Relief, regret, loyalty. No words are needed. But escaping is only the beginning. Because as soon as they move, the world outside reminds them of what's waiting. The war hasn't paused. It's only grown closer. The transition from rescue to battlefield feels immediate, almost overwhelming. There's no time to recover, no time to process what just happened. And that's where episode 9 takes its boldest turn. The Battle of King's Mountain doesn't feel like a distant event anymore. It crashes into the story with full force. Chaos replaces control. Strategy gives way to survival. And in the middle of it all, Jaime stands exactly where history says he should. But something feels different. There are small moments during the battle that don't align perfectly. Tiny shifts. Unexpected outcomes. It's subtle, but noticeable. Like the story itself is bending, just slightly, away from what was always expected. This is where the earlier hints about time begin to pay off. Because if history is changing even a little, then the consequences could be massive. And then comes the moment everything has been building toward. Jaime falls. It's sudden, brutal, and for a second, everything else fades away. The noise of the battle, the movement around him, it all disappears into silence. This is the moment the story has been circling for so long. And it hits exactly as hard as it should. Claire feels it before she sees it. That deep, unexplainable connection between them reacts instantly. There's no doubt in her mind. Something is wrong. Severely wrong. What follows isn't rushed. It slows down almost like time itself is stretching. The people around Jaime blur into the background, while the focus narrows to something more emotional, more personal. And this is where episode 9 delivers something unexpected. Instead of ending everything, it opens something. Because as Jaime slips closer to death, he doesn't fall into darkness. He sees them, faces from his past. People who shaped his life, who defined who he became. Moments that feel real, vivid, not like memories, but like something more. It's not just emotional. It feels like a crossing point, a place between what was and what could still be. And that's where the possibility introduced earlier becomes real. If time can be altered, if fate isn't fixed, then this moment doesn't have to be the end. Back in the present, Claire refuses to accept what's happening. She's been here before, standing at the edge of losing him. But this time feels different, bigger, like the outcome matters beyond just the two of them. The idea of the blue light returns not as a miracle, but as a risk. Something unnatural. Something that could change the balance of everything. But Claire doesn't hesitate, because for her, the choice has always been the same. Fight or lose him. And she's never been someone who accepts loss easily. As the episode reaches its final moments, It leaves one question hanging above everything else. Not whether Jaime will live or die, but what it will cost to bring him back. Because in a story where time itself is starting to break its own rules, every action has consequences. And episode 9 makes it clear. The ending we're heading toward won't just close the story of Outlander. It might rewrite it completely.